And we're going to have that conversation, myself and Mamavi, as well as parents and even administrators or educationists. And it's about schools reopening at the basic level. And parents now would have the responsibility, because schools have resumed, to either pay fees or support these schools to make sure they run the schools appropriately. And they are doing this on virtual platforms, Mamavi.
Yes, they are, with all the issues that come with it. But I want to start with, for me, my children were supposed to have reopened if they were going to normal school. The third term should have started ending of April. I think the last week in April. How about you, Roland?
4th of May. I think it started, I mean, only in a way.
Okay, so just a few days into the third term. But they haven't, have they?
No, not fully, because the school is still grappling with the virtual platform that was used before the vacation of the last term, and trying to customize it to meet their own needs and terms.
Okay, let's rope in some parents who have joined us via Zoom, and Roland mentioned that we'll have school administrators also join us. So hello, good morning to all of you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Okay.
Good morning.
Great.
Good morning.
I want you all to tell us when the third term would have been officially, when it would have started in your various institutions.
Okay. We were to come back on 28th of April. That was last month, 28th of April.
Okay. Can you start with an introduction before you answer the question, all of you?
28th April.
Can you also introduce yourself, please?
Yes,
Okay. Henry.
Okay. All right, Henry, thank you. So who will go next on official reopening the third term?
I'm sorry, I can't get you well from here.
Okay, we're going to work on that. But if any of you can hear me well enough.
Okay, so can you all lower the volume on your television set? It helps. So that we just communicate through.
Okay, let's give ourselves a little breather. Let's try and sort this out backstage, and then we'll come back. We're also going to activate the phone line so you can join us. The issue is, for some schools, they're having to pay the full term fees, even though we don't know what is clearly ahead of us. Some people are doing the virtual classes, but it comes with a lot of issues. Roland, we pay the fees not just to do online. In fact, we don't pay to do online at all. We pay so we can go into the facilities for the children to spend hours there, use all the facilities, and learn and play as well. That's what we pay school fees for, correct?
I think that in the traditional or conservative terms, yes. And as a parent, I would want my children to go to school in a traditional sense and have a one-on-one sitting learning experience, a playtime, etc. I am thinking as a parent, it is also because it takes our minds off that responsibility, and then giving that or handing it over to the school authorities. And now that the change has come, we're still coming to terms with how things have changed.
Okay, so hopefully we can have a stable conversation now with everything sorted. So can we say good morning again to you? Kindly introduce yourselves.
Good morning. My name is Henry Saki from Rising Sun Montessori School, Botiano.
All right. Can you continue? So you mentioned reopening would have been?
28th of April, last month.
Okay, great. Okay, can we have another person do the same?
Hi, my name is Mama Echampo from Roshara Montessori School in Tema. School would have opened today. Today would have been our first day back at school.
Okay.
So my name is Victor Afarisifa. I'm a parent. My son attends British Columbia College, which is at Ajigano in Accra.
And reopening would have been?
My name is Lucky Wachi. I'm a parent. My children attend Rising Sun Montessori School too.
Okay, so same reopening. I didn't get for one of you, but that's fine. So what's happening to your children? What's happening to the other children in your various schools, for those of you who are also teachers and administrators?
So can we start with Henry?
All right. Thank you for the question. What we are doing is, just like you said, we are having the virtual classroom where we are engaging the children in live interactions. And then we are also engaging them on other platforms where we issue them assignments and homework, where teachers get them to do these assignments and then they return them for marking, and then the teachers also comment on whatever they have done. So it's basically like the normal, the traditional classroom learning, teaching, or teaching and learning. But just that this, we are not having the face-to-face classroom interaction, but it's more or less like that.
Okay. Dr. Victor Afari?
Come again?
No, I wanted Dr. Afari to also answer the question of what's happening to the children now.
Okay, so what's happening now? The school closed at the second term at the normal time, if I remember. Now the reopening was scheduled actually to commence the scheduled time with the virtual platform. But I recall that, of course, one of the challenges was that with the switch onto the virtual platform, some parents needed some time to organize themselves in terms of getting laptops, tablets for their kids, and also, most importantly, the internet connection. So I think the principal requested for, in discussion with parents, requested for a 1-week extension. And then this was done. And then after that, the school resumed with the virtual platform.
Okay.
So as at now, this has been ongoing. Of course, there are a couple of challenges, but maybe at the right time we'll talk about
it.
Can we get to Amma? Amma. Can we have Amma Ichampong also telling us what they have adopted, what the experiences are?
Right after the president announced the lockdown for schools, we started our pilot program, prepping the parents and the children, for what is coming. So during our so-called vacation period, we were doing our pilot program. And basically what Henry said, we've been posting work, doing pre-recordings of lesson videos for the children to submit to the school. So that's pretty much what we've been doing, using various platforms such as Zoom to do face-to-face interaction with the children, and also let the children see their friends and make it seem a little normal for them. Various platforms such as Zoom to do face-to-face interaction.
Okay, I think we have one more person who hasn't commented. Doris?
Lucky?
Oh, that's you, Lucky. Apologies. Lucky, shall we hear you? I'm not sure we have a particularly great connection there. But what we wanted to talk about really, thank you for sharing what's been happening in the schools and with the children. But has there been a conversation about school fees, the third term school fees, and what the plan is going forward?
Can we start with Rocheron? Henry, just because Rocheron is a school manager, and we have Amma, can you please just go ahead? You start because you manage a school.
So yes, in consultation with PTA, we are not charging full tuition, which however asks parents to sort of support the whole online process for us. Of course, data is not cheap. We have to get teachers the devices at home to be able to use that as well. So it's just a small token to support the online teaching experience for teachers and students.
Okay, so when you say they're not paying full tuition, it means that it's been discounted.
Yes, for us, we're not charging full tuition. We're basically asking them to pay less than 20% of what
Okay. Oh, that's
Of
interesting.
the normal tuition that they would have paid.
Okay.
Less than 300, less like 300 CDs for just to support the whole process.
For the entire term, or until you know what is ahead?
Could you repeat that, please?
So this amount that you're charging, I'm asking is if it is for the entire term, or till such a time when we know clearly what the way forward would be.
Ask the question. I didn't.
If everything is safe for us to return to school, then of course we'll be having a different conversation.
Okay, all right, great. I'm sure everybody would love that idea. But can we also hear from you, maybe Henry, for instance? Henry, you're parents. Have you had the third term conversation in terms of the fees, and what's been your reaction?
I'm sorry, I'm not a parent. I'm the head of academics here.
Oh, okay, all right, great.
Yeah.
So share that experience with us.
Just like Amma said, we are also not charging the full fee for tuition. We engage parents, and they also brought up suggestions which we look into.
I'm not saying anything in the background.
Come again, please.
Please just go ahead.
Yeah, the TV is off.
Hello?
The TV is
Go
off.
ahead, Henry.
Yes, all right. So we're also not charging full tuition. We met parents, we agreed on an amount to pay. And just like Amma said, we are doing this just to support the program, especially the teachers who are going to be on the program, and then other items or materials we needed for the program. And so for now, we're waiting for the government to give us the green light, and then we also take it up from there. So we're also not charging full tuition.
Okay, but so what's the percentage? So you're charging not for the tuition for the term, you're only charging for what you're currently doing, the online.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
But what's been the reaction? Because what it means is, if this thing is lifted and school will have to be reopened, say June, then it means we have to come back and talk about fees proper.
Sure. The reaction it's been a mixed reaction, in the sense that some parents are of the view that the amount we are charging, should the government ask schools to come back, are we going to add up to make up the full term fees, or that amount will be forfeited and then we start all over again? But then I always tell them that we'll meet when we get there, we'll meet and then we'll know what to do. So for the reactions, it's been a mixed reaction. Some are very excited about the whole program, and some are having one or two agitations up and down, and it's part of the program, so we are just managing it.
Right.
If I could just jump in, so can I?
Well, I wanted, Ami, before you come in, I wanted Ami to also make a comment, because it looks like we haven't heard from Ami. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So you hold on then. You hold on then. Then we make Amma, because you're a school administrator and a headmistress. Please go ahead and complement Henry's comment.
Okay, so for third term, we have, say, 12 weeks. And no matter when we're asked to come back in, we're still going to do the 12 weeks. So it means that our vacation will be cut short. So this is like a supplementary work that we're doing with the children. So whenever we are called back in, we're still going to do the 12 weeks. And so we'll definitely charge full fees for that period of time. So just to add to what Henry said.
Okay.
I mean, what's the experience now? Moving on, knowing that the two administrators have laid out what their own mechanisms are, how did you receive the communication from your school for your wards?
Okay, so the communication came to us. We had mixed reactions, because initially the amount being charged was quite high. So we had to negotiate with them and express the fact that we're now going to invest in getting infrastructure ready for the kids. We need to get them laptops if you do not have. You need to get them tablets if you do not have. You need to have access to internet if you do not have. So the investment that you have to make in setting the kids up before even the start of the virtual class was key. And so we went on to tell them, look, if you're charging us as much as you're charging a regular, normal day in school, that's going to be a lot, because for now, we are now acting as, teachers as well. Aside the fact that, we are working, and sometimes you have to be in the office, and you have to be coordinating the virtual class from the office. Mm-hmm. So it's been mixed reactions, but the good thing is that they met us halfway. The fees is somewhat subsidized. It could have been better, but it's not.
Is it the third term fees you're talking about?
Come again, please.
Is it the third term fees you're talking about?
What we understand is that it's not the third term fee. Okay. It is the online learning. And so for some of us, the hope is that everything will come back to normal. If it is not normalized, it means that's what is going to run, for a virtual third term.
Now, Doc, let me ask you, the communication for my son's school was that the schools needed to maintain the structure of human resource and running of the school, even though you as a parent, you also needed to invest in infrastructure. How did you take it? Was there empathy on your part as a parent for the school?
Yeah, I think, obviously the point is that you need to strike a balance. I mean, you need to think of yourself as a parent, how much you need to invest. But of course, the school is also an establishment, and in my case, it's a private school, so they certainly run on school fees, and that's very much on point. So in my particular case, I didn't have to do so much of investment because I also work at home, and so internet was already available. And a computer was there, but I know there was some discussions because in my kids' school we have a WhatsApp platform where all parents can interact for the various classes and also for the whole school. So I know there was a couple of exchanges at that time, and I think that in the case of my school, the British Columbia College, what came up was that if we have to run the third term completely on a virtual basis, then there will be some adjustment in the school fees. I've forgotten exactly what figures, but I know the principal made some proposals that he was not going to charge the full fees. In our case, in our circumstance, we are assuming that wherever the situation will be, if the ban is lifted, then we will just have to switch from the virtual back to the regular distance. But we're not going to wait until, say, we're going to go another full term or what. So I think at that point, we will need to see what the adjustment has to be. Yeah, and I think that in our case, like I said, is a WhatsApp platform, and everybody has the opportunity to make suggestions directly to the principal and all those involved. So in our case, I think this is a fair process. Yeah.
And Amma, I know Rose Sharon very well in Tema, right? Community 12 is another school. Great.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
11 and 12.
Okay, so your school and the fees that you charge the children is just a little bit high up than what my children school also charge. But if you say you're just charging 300 Ghana cedis and you strike the balance, how then do you maintain your staff? And how then do you communicate that also to the parent for them to understand that, look, the school also needs to run so that when you resume, you could still have a school?
Yeah, well, like I said, it was in consultation with the PTA and, of course, our staff. And we had to do a lot of price cuts, salary cuts, but they are all up for it. This is our family. Rose Sharon is a very tight-knit family, and we know we're in this together. And as much as possible, we're all going to find ways to work around it. And so that's exactly what we're doing. So the teachers are all on board. Everyone is all on board on doing that. And so it's like a general consensus for the entire school.
We have other administrators. So can you also talk about whether or not you've had to cut salaries just to make up because of the times we're in?
Yes, please. Just like Amma said, we met with the teachers and we told them, look, we are not in normal times and we all have to sacrifice one way or the other. At the end of the day, it is better you maintain your job with the letter you get now than to lose it now, than to lose your job now. So we came to a common consensus. We agreed that then this is what we are going to do. We give you this amount for the period until the government asked schools to come back. And the reception was good. They accepted it. And so I think we have no issue because it was done based on agreement between management and staff. And so for salary cut, definitely it happened. And I think we are all good to go with it.
Okay. Has it occurred to you, maybe the parents can also take this, particularly last week there was a lot of conversations on whether or not the ban on gathering was going to be lifted. So the conversation about children going back to school came up so strongly. Have you thought about your children going back into the physical classroom?
Yes. In fact, just last 3 days when the president came to, I was thinking the ban will be lifted for us to go back, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But in whatever case, we are just getting ready. Should it be today, we'll still come back to school and continue with normal work. And it's a hope that this ban will be lifted soon so we can come to school and then continue the work.
That's a very optimistic view there. But Lucky, you're a parent, are you in for it?
To be honest with you, with the times we're in right now, I'm not too comfortable with them going back to school immediately. Should the ban be lifted, some of us will delay, in having our kids go in. We want to ensure that it's safe for them in the first place. These are children we are talking about, and sometimes they throw caution to the wind. So you want to be assured that their safety is secured. You want to go back and do a few checks to see if, the protocols are being observed, the hand washing, social distancing, the use of the sanitizer. Because seriously, even for the corporate world, when the ban was lifted, you don't immediately go into the office, you gradually worm your way into it. So it's kind of a challenge for us as parents. You need to be completely sure that, your children will be safe. These are things you do not have control over. And so it's kind of unsettling.
What about you, Doc?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not an easy, and I share some of the same sentiments with Lucky. In my case, it just happened that I have to be at home and work from home for the moment, of course, because the borders are also closed, so I am not based here actually. So that somehow has helped, because then initially, you need to be there, make sure the kids set up on internet. And we also know the challenges that we have with internet connection. So basically, you yourself also become a teacher. I mean, this is basically very much obvious. And sure, in fact, initially we even had to do assignments, and then I had to attach them, and make sure the kids are on email. The kids need to be very disciplined with time. Make sure, because everybody has to be started at the same time. There's no excuse for that. So those things, of course, take a lot of your own time. And if I had not been at home, I'm not so sure how this will have worked out. Of course, my wife will have certainly done that as well. But it's certainly not easy. And of course, we certainly all have to come on board to assist. But it's not easy at all from the way, especially if you also have to work. That's really a big challenge. Yeah.
Okay, so beyond the doom and gloom that we all seem to be painting, we also know that it looks like the way of life has changed for this generation of people we have in the world, and especially in our world. How have the kids been able to innovate, become very accustomed to, and the new way of learning?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm to continue, I mean, like I said at the beginning, the adjustment was really tough, not only for the kids. I mean, me myself also having to stay at home. So I think the adjustment was for all of us. And then now you need to now get into making sure you provide the resources and all that. But at the same time, there have been a lot of opportunities to leverage in the sense that, the kids get used to their teachers just doing that. Now parents have the opportunity to see directly what their kids are doing. Previously we had to rely and wait until we had teacher-parent conferences to go and know how much your kids are under. Now I can see, in fact, the school that my kid is, they have a software now, a school management administration software, which allows you, to see their grades, and they post assignments directly on the same platform. There's a live class option there. So I get much more better understanding of what my kid is able to do and what is not able to do and how much support I'm able to provide. Yes, but like you said, adjustment was not that easy. Now he's able to do much more emails. He's able to do attachment and stuff like that. Yes, there's still that aspect of the face-to-face interaction, which is sometimes a bit lacking. That bond between the teachers and the children is not there. So that is a bit of a challenge. The moment. I know in one of the other schools where my kid is attending, they have a huge problem now with graduation. And they are talking about virtual graduation, and some parents and kids don't seem to be happy at all. That's a secondary school anyway. And at the moment, I even have a challenge because they're still talking about how to get that somehow semi-virtual or even completely virtual at the moment, since the ban is now up to 31st and the graduation is supposed to have happened towards the end of this month. So there are pros and cons, and of course there are opportunities to leverage, but yes, the COVID itself is going to change a lot of how life we're going to live our lives anyway. Certain things are not going to be the same, believe it or not. So it's a whole adjustment, but I think for kids, they also learn very fast and they adjust very fast, much better than parents, I will assume. And so, yeah, I mean, they are coping quite well, but we're all looking forward to see what comes after the COVID is actually gone, and we have to face a real situation, how things are going to change after that.
Definitely. Yeah. Can we have Lucky on this issue as well?
Yes, I would want to say that the adjustment, the transition, from the physical environment to a virtual environment hasn't been easy. But it's been quite interesting. It gives you the opportunity to learn a lot of new things. I am saying that for parents who are not IT inclined, they get to lose out on this good opportunity. Because, for instance, you need to enroll your child, onto the Zoom class, they go into the Google Classroom. Now, interestingly, the children are able to, do their own assignments and turn it in. The teacher marks, and they get to see their marks. Hitherto, I didn't know that my children were that good, in IT. And these days, they are surprising me. Somebody comes back to tell me, oh, I was chatting with my friend on the side. I sent my friend a private message. I'm like, oh, whoa, it's working. I think that it's propelling the children to a different level, in terms of technology. They are learning really fast. We struggled the first 2 days to, have control over it. But today, I can be in the office. I just need to give them the ID and the password. They log into the class, partake in the face-to-face interactions. After that, they go on, do their classwork, do their homeworks, and then turn it in. And for me, I think it's good. I have a 5-year-old, and that is where the challenge is. When it's for too long, they start to get uncomfortable. But interestingly, because of the interaction with their teachers engage them. And so you see that he's involved. Okay. It's interesting for him. After that, the assignments are sent, via WhatsApp for you to get them to do. The challenge with some of the assignments are that if you need to print them out, for the child to answer. Some of them come with drawings for the preschool, and the child cannot draw. And so you need to print it out for the child, to answer. You take snapshots and now send to the teacher for feedback. It's been quite an interesting journey. I think we can do better. Okay. Sometimes the challenges come with electricity power going off. When power goes off, then you are stuck.
You lose the internet connectivity.
One of the major challenges, yes. And then internet connectivity. I think if data is subsidized in these times, it will be of great benefit to us. Okay. Because trust me, the amount that is going into internet, it's amazing. You cannot believe it. Yeah. In a matter of 2 days, I'm trying to monitor data usage because it's a Zoom class, it's live interaction. You do not want to have interactions, and it's costing so much. That's one of the things we need to look at. Because internet is not a big deal.
Yeah.
But I want
can we hear from the administrators also?
Before you answer that, I wanted to also say that there are some parents who are also cheating for the children because you're not there. This is not a classroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we have Amma and Henry comment on that?
Okay. Just like Lucky said, the transition has not been easy, but then we've been able to get teachers and students to work hard to get this thing running smoothly now. For challenges, we can't take them out because this is something new. This hasn't been our traditional way of teaching and learning, and so doing something new, we're definitely going to encounter challenges. And just like Lucky said, one of our challenges for now is the network connectivity. The network, is on and off, that kind of thing. So we have developed another strategy. That is, we get a live recorded version of the lesson. A live recorded version of the lesson. So should the network give us challenge, or should we encounter any challenge with the network, quickly the teacher gives them the recorded version of the lesson. They play a video, listen to it, whatever lesson or whatever message they want the children to get, they put it there for them to watch. And then there's this interaction on the Google Classroom where we engage them in assignments and class exercises as well. So the transition has not been easy, but I'm so grateful too for the work we've done here and how far we've been able to come with the program.
Can we have Amma comments?
Well, basically the same thing. We understand the challenges here in Ghana, and so we know one of them is, of course, erratic power supply and our internet. So we also pre-record our lessons, and so Zoom is just a way of, interacting and getting to know whether the children understood the lesson, a time for Q&A session, also get to see their friends and interact with them. So Zoom, you can really do like a very meaningful learning on that platform, but you have to do a pre-recording. The children can, pause. It's like a teacher on demand now. You can pause, replay. If you don't understand something, you can just replay it and listen to it. You have Google Classroom, which has been very, very great. We are grateful for that platform because it makes it free for all schools. So the children post assignments and lesson notes. The children are getting very used to and even advanced in the way they use the technology tools. Making attachments,
Sharing screens as well.
Exactly, sharing screens, doing a lot of things that they would have done, say, 4 weeks ago. So they've really advanced, and I feel that at the end of it all, it's been a blessing in disguise, honestly, because our children have advanced in so many ways. They've seen how they can use technology. They know that now it's easier. It's not that exactly. It's not alien to them anymore because they're becoming very comfortable. My 5-year-old is using the mouse like he's a 30-year-old because now he's forced to do it. So it's been a great experience. Of course, the challenges out there, but that's one thing about educators. We are going to do whatever it takes to make sure learning is achieved. So that's.
Thank you all for sharing. We want to invite other parents, school administrators, if you're watching us, to join us. If you've got any comments or if you have questions, you can call us now, 0302-211-69102. But just before our viewers also join us, I want to throw in this question. Do you think about, because you're all parents as well, does it occur to you that the children could be doing something else apart from what we're all thinking they should be doing? Could their minds be taken off what's happening in the class and do something? After all, they have the internet now. They can do other things with it.
Yes, that is true. We know definitely our children sometimes try to outsmart with the parents. And that is why we've also arranged with parents to make provisions, so to make provisions for someone to be with the student whilst they are having the interaction or whilst they are on the net. We know definitely that students will always like to explore, to go to places. After I'm alone, I have my freedom now. Why don't I do what I couldn't do when Mama was around? That kind of thought will come in definitely. So we've always arranged with parents. And so just like I think Lucky said that earlier, some parents have become virtual teachers now because they have to work from the house or from home. And so they are using the time as well to monitor their wards. Those who are to go to work and so have to leave the children in the care of their maid or their house help, we also advise them that they should ensure that whosoever is going to be in charge of that ward must be IT inclined or must know something about whatever is happening. So the child cannot say, I'm in the classroom or I'm on Zoom with my teacher. That person must be able to tell that, yes, the student is on Zoom with the teacher or the student is on the Google Classroom learning. And so for that, it will definitely come. But then we've also made arrangements for parents to be supervising. And that is when you come home, you can check. I want to see the assignment you did today. I want to see the note you were given today. If possible, you call the class teacher and then you find out. And, as parents, let me just chip in this. You can also track what your child or your children do on the net. That is, you can always use the Google search or the search engine. You go there, you type something, and then it gives you the other site that has been visited. It gives you the other site. So you will know whether the child has done something else apart from the learning that he or she was supposed to do. And so it's all about we paying extra attention to what our children are doing. But the challenge is it will come, but then we have to be up and doing, and we surely overcome.
Yeah, let me just add this. We can't mother our children every day. We can't hover over them every day. We have to let them start being accountable for themselves. So again, like Henry said, placing restrictions on your tablet or on your computer is very, very important. You can restrict your child. You can only play a certain game for, say, 30 minutes or an hour a day, and once it's gone off. When you come back home, your work should have been done. So when you place these restrictions and also give the children that responsibility to be accountable for themselves, that's a good learning experience from them.
Yeah.
So you don't always have to, no one has to just be by you. Like you don't have to have a supervisor at all times. For the older kids, they should be able to control themselves and plan accordingly. So, I mean, if you do that, you can give them rewards. Hey, on Friday, we can have movie nights with the whole family, or we can have ice cream or whatever it is. But if, you have to incentivize these things and make them accountable for their own action. You can't always be there. Put restrictions on their tablets. They can't go on social media sites. They can play certain games for a certain amount of time. So let's start trusting our children. They're capable of doing it.
Well, thank you, Amma. A movie night. Yeah, let me go to Bolga, where Michael is calling from. Michael, do you have movie nights with your kids? How are the virtual learning platform for your children in Bolga going?
In fact, it's really troubling because I teach in a village in the Bongo district.
What's the village name?
Adaboya Primary.
Adaboya Primary.
Yes, please.
So what are you doing by way of innovation in this period?
There is a network problem generally at that community. And most of the people there, they don't even have electricity. So it's a challenge. It's very challenging. So I want the government to also consider, what about those people? What is the government doing about those learners too?
Yeah.
Their colleagues are enjoying somewhere in the cities and the towns, and we, those who are in the villages, we are not getting access to all these things. So you can see that it is to our disadvantage.
Absolutely.
So government should do something about it. That is my concern.
Right. Let's go to Alajo. We have Martin.
Yeah. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Martin. And I hope you're feeling well. Now, are your children going through any virtual learning education?
No. The only thing I've made arrangement for the teacher to be giving her assignments now and then so that she will do, and we'll forward it back to her for her assessment.
Okay.
Assistant. Yeah.
You don't sound too exciting about it. What is it in particular that's not working for you?
I wish all the schools would have been in the position to be doing this. e-learning, the virtual learning, so that at least they can all be at par.
Okay. Your children, the school they go to, is it a private school or a public school?
Yeah, it's a private school.
Okay. So Mamavi, it means even the private schools, all of them are not the same?
No, absolutely not. Let's go to, but Martin, thank you for sharing. Let's go to Takwa. We've got Bernard. Good morning, Bernard. Hello, Bernard.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Good morning, you're on air. Let's hear you.
I'm calling from Takwa.
Okay.
Okay, I'm a teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, we are also doing the virtual learning, and it is helping a lot.
So this is a private school?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And it's helping a lot, but my problem is the network.
The network.
I think for this time, I think our network operators must give us some credit.
As in what, free credit,
the network is too expensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
so if the government can do something about it so that for Ghana here, our network system is too much expensive compared to other countries.
All right. Okay, so Bernard is on the network issue. Eric is in Akosombo. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, madam.
Yes, sir. What's been your own experience with your children?
My challenge is most of the parents the education level is very poor. What are the government doing to help us? So that our children also, because some of us we are not able to attend school, and we find it difficult for the learning how to explain it to our children. So I want the audience also to ask me
about that. So does it mean in Takoradi, in Akosombo, your children are not?
No, the parents. Maybe the parent is not an educated.
Eric, are you a parent or you're speaking as a?
Yes, I'm a parent.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are your children going through virtual means of learning?
Yeah, in terms of the technology like this, I don't have any idea about it. So to explain it to the children, I find a challenge to support them.
Very understandable. Let's go to Takoradi.
I think, Eric, you should leave your number with our producer, okay? Let's see if we can link you up to any of our administrators or maybe somebody else after the show. Let's take our last caller, Roland.
Yeah, we have Ken Takoradi. Ken.
Good morning.
Morning. What's your experience with the new learning platforms for your children? If you're a teacher,
I think it's been a bit expensive considering the data that you have to buy for the kids. For some of the subjects, they don't understand. They have to go to the internet or the videos. And it's a bit expensive because sometimes I have to consume about 60 Ghana cedis plus to get them these videos so that they can get a better understanding of what they are doing. And I don't know whether the government has a package for some of these things because it's getting too expensive.
Yeah.
Considering the free education that we are enjoying, that means you are paying double more than the free education. So the government has to do something about this particular. I teach something that they are doing. So that is my concern. It's getting a bit expensive.
So a cost-related issue or concern.
Exactly.
Right. How old are your children, and which section of basic education are they?
No, mine is in the XX level. He's supposed to write the final exams maybe within any time soon. But
well, thank you, Ken. Ken from Takoradi is our last caller, and let's get some last comment from you, and this has to be snappy. From all of you, first the parent. How can or should this be a new normal when we have mainstream school? We reopen and we're supposed to go to classroom face to face. And for you, the administrators, how are you going to incorporate this in the normal physical learning programming when we resume normal life? I start first with the parents. Doc, start.
Okay, so the first point I want to emphasize is that this issue of the COVID and all that has come out with it has made us recognize the role of teachers, because now we as the parents have been in the house and managing the kids. So there's going to be more recognition for what teachers are actually doing in their role. Now, when you leave your kids for the teachers, we are also experienced. Of course, I train myself as a professional teacher. Now, the main point here is that blended learning, I personally see, is going to be a way forward. Even when we come back to normal classroom, with all that experience that the kids have got, and also, of course, the teachers, is not going to get lost. So I'm sure even with normal distance, we're still going to have blended learning approaches where we have online and sometimes even in the class. I mean, to improve the quality of teaching and learning materials with videos and things being incorporated in class. And sometimes some classes probably being held virtually, depending on what the circumstance is. No. So I think that this is my personal is that we're going to embrace this as a way forward, and it's going to change our own lives, and it's certainly going to help us improve, especially on ICT and its use in the teaching and learning environment for the better. Okay, Ami?
Yes, I would want to say that COVID has come, as a blessing in disguise. There are positives to it, though it has a lot of negative connotations. We should look at the bright. I know going forward, a lot of things are going to change. We're going to have, a mixture of the two, like Doc said. It will be good to blend both, physical interactions and the online learnings. Some of the assignments can be posted there for the children. They get to, submit some assignments, via the Google Classroom. For me, I think it's good. You've seen how they are doing well. They're embracing it. The physical interaction is very important for the children, that we cannot take away from them. So that is critical, that's important, but the virtual, has come to stay. That is where we are going now. Even in the world, I was quite impressed when I heard the president say that they had their ECOWAS meeting, via Zoom. So it means it's going to save us some cost as a nation too as well.
Right.
So yes.
All right, Snappy, 30 seconds for you each, the administrators and the heads. Let me start with Ama.
Okay, so thank you very much. Let me just say that I'm happy you guys invited us and to talk about this. And just so you know that it is like you said, a blessing in disguise, and we'll come out even stronger than we were before. Blended learning has always been there. It's a great opportunity for our children to learn more. This is not a new thing. A lot of schools have been doing some form of virtual learning for a very long time. And so I'm glad it's finally hitting home to parents and letting them appreciate it even more. Teachers are not asleep. They're not, contrary to a lot of public opinion. We're working as hard, even harder, to create the digital content that our children need.
Henry, 30 seconds.
Hi. Okay. We once again thank you for this opportunity, and we are now in a technological world, or we are now going digital. And with this new arrangement, or with this new platform, we are going to incorporate it into our physical teaching and learning when school reopens, especially with assignments. Now we have issues where students don't take assignment home, and with the Google Classroom now setting in, the child will have no excuse to say, I didn't receive my homework. And so we are really going to merge the two and make it a better experience for both teachers and students, and even parents as well. So I think it's going to be a positive one in the future. Thank you.
Well, so, Mamavi, we have to wrap up.
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies as well, for your time, spending time with us. We really appreciate it. We'll take a breather. When we come back, we'll take you live to the Information Ministry. There's an update on how Ghana is managing its coronavirus situation. Stay with us.